How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Hope you're good too. The last couple of weeks, obviously, been a frustrating time for you. Nobody likes being injured. But how are you now at this stage, and how's training gone for you in the last while?
Yeah, I'm good, thank God. Yeah, frustrating time with the injury. Obviously picked it up on the Thursday of the French game, which was quite frustrating. I was looking forward to getting back out there after the Wales frustration and putting a few things right. But that's the job we have, the sport we live in. So yeah, it's been tough watching on, to be honest with you. Like I've enjoyed the rehab with the physios and things, but you'd much rather be out with the group working towards a game at the weekend, which was an unusual feeling not to have that while still being in camp. So thankfully gone through the rehab well. Feel great. It was very close a couple of times to coming back, but didn't want to rush it. So fit from last week and looking forward to getting out there this week.
And in terms of this week, I mean, a massive game. Obviously, a lot of change through injury and everything like that. But England at the Aviva Stadium, the last round of the Six Nations Championship, is a grieving occasion.
Huge. Anytime you play England, home or away, particularly at home, it's a massive occasion. It's one that doesn't take any motivation from the leaders. It's just there. You can feel it during the week. So that has been the case this week. And lads are chomping at the bit to go. You don't need to say much. The atmosphere is already there. England are top side. Results in this year's Six Nations have been mixed for them, but they're still a quality side with a lot of the players that played in that World Cup and have been successful for so long. So it's a huge challenge that awaits us on Saturday, and one where we're very aware of how good they're going to be.
I can ask you just one final question. Do you think that it's unfair that some people have kind of tagged you as a box kicking scrum half? There are other elements to your game.
Yeah, that's just what the kind of outside noise is, I suppose, from time to time. But I've huge belief in what we're doing here, and the coaches are the very same. They back you to back yourself and put on a show and back your skill set. And for me, it definitely goes further than kicking the ball in the air. That's obviously a big part of the tactics in international rugby. It's something that we do well. England do it really well. So that'll be one element of what's to come at the weekend.
Good man, have a good week. See you, man.
Cheers, thanks.
Hi Conor.
How are you?
What's the biggest thing you have learned from those recent defeats to England that you are 100% sure will be better this weekend?
A lot of things we've looked at over the past few meetings. I think one thing in particular, you're always conscious of how physical England are going to be. How vocal they are when they are physically dominant over you. And I think the last time we played them, we actually turned up in that area and we did quite well. It was actually the smaller details, or in terms of like the skills of our attack game or whatever, that we actually came up a little bit short on, which is usually not the case. I suppose maybe we were really focused on being physical against such a big side against England. So we definitely need to bring that again this weekend. That physicality. They're if they're a team, if you let them get on top of you in those areas, it's very hard to play rugby against them. So that'll be a starting point, like it always is. Physicality in the game of rugby is fairly important, but in terms of our decision making and attacking, we'd hope to be a little bit better than we were the last time. But we've been working really hard. The buzz or the atmosphere in camp has been great all week. It's a huge test, and for me personally, just delighted to be back in the mix and ready to give it a go.
We almost expect you to automatically have that passion, that physicality. But wasn't there at Twickenham last year? And I think Andy said that afterwards, that you kind of went into your shells and you did seem a bit more passive than we would have expected from you against England. So are you counting on it that will automatically be there, and that will definitely be there this weekend?
Sorry, you broke up a little bit at the start of that question. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
In Twickenham last year, I suppose you weren't as physical as we expected you to be, and I think Andy said afterwards that you kind of went into your shell a bit in that game, and it was quite surprising against England. Six Nations.
I thought the physicality was there. Unless I'll have to look at it again, but I've looked at it a few times. I think the physicality was there. It was more the decision making and maybe the bravery to make those calls and play a bit more against England. I suppose we were so focused on being physical that maybe we as players got a little bit distracted by the other jobs we had to do. So I think anytime you come up against England, that motivation to not be bullied around the place is definitely going to be there. In terms of working on other things within our game, in terms of our attack and our decision making and backing ourselves, we've strived to improve that this week, and it's gone well in training. Definitely, the messaging has been really clear. The players are really clear on what we're trying to do, and I think there's a big excitement about what we can produce against England. It's the ultimate test. England, one of the best teams in the world at home, so it's something we know we have to be really on our game for.
Hey Conor, I know there was some sort of a pattern and there was differences in the last few meetings with England, but have Ireland got some sort of a plan, something different that if things are playing out the way they have previously, that you can switch on something and say, right, now we're trying this, and are you confident that in that event you can do that? You can put in a new game plan, something that would upset England?
I don't think it would be a new game plan. I think it would be reacting to what's happening on the pitch. I suppose that's what the coaches expect from the players that are selected, and the players that can come on, is that they can make decisions based on what's happening in the game. I think that's the experience element of it with this team, is that you can go in with an idea of what England are going to do, but it could be something completely different. The game could start completely differently after 10 minutes. You could be either up by a few scores or down by a few scores. So I think it's you don't invent a new game plan in the middle of a game. You just react to what's in front of you. And I think I'd back all of us to be able to do that. I think the ability and decision making is definitely there from the players we have. So it's not a new game plan. It's it's international rugby. I think you have to be able to think on your feet, and probably going a long way around answering your question. We definitely have those capabilities.
And I know you were talking about it's being easy to motivate yourself for England matches. I remember years ago, it's probably 10 years ago at this stage, Johnny Sexton, after Ireland beat England in a final round match in Dublin, that you always get more up for an England match. There's like a natural antipathy towards England. How does that manifest itself now, given that you have a couple of English guys in the management team, you've been on Lions tours with a lot of these guys? How does that antipathy, which he was mentioning as a virtue in getting motivated to play England, how does that manifest itself now?
Still the very same. Probably a little bit more crack about it with those lads in camp, but no, it's the age-old rivalry. It's such a special game. There's so much history in it. And like I said, there's no effort to be motivated or to get up for this game. It's such a special occasion, and the fact that England are such a top team, it gives you that little bit more determination or sharpness during the week to get yourself right, because at the weekend you're at home in the Aviva, you're against one of the best teams, one of the oldest rivals you have, and you got to perform. So it's the very same, easy to get up for, probably a little bit more crack with the lads that we have in our ranks.
Thanks, Conor. Best of luck.
Thanks.
Hi, Conor. Hope
Hiya.
you're well. Just wondered about Jacob Stockdale, obviously returning this weekend. We saw how devastating he could be, in his first season. Do you feel he can return to that form? I know he's coming in at the end of this championship, but how confident are you that we can see the Jacob Stockdale of old?
He's certainly confident of it from chatting to him, but no, I am too, and the lads are as well. Jacob's a really special player, a top fella, and he's obviously frustrated with the injuries he's had. He's actually right there, so but I'm not complimenting too much, but no, it's great to have him back, especially a player that can break a game like that, who can, if it's a tough game, he can pull something out of a hat and get us out of trouble. So we're backing him to return to that form, definitely. No worries, lad.
Conor, have you ever had this long
ever had a wake-up like that?
I'm not too sure. A couple of times I've picked up an injury. It's been the end of a campaign, so this is probably first time where I've had one early on and come back in towards the end. So I'd been feeling great, to be honest with you, before with Munster and you know the Wales game, 60 odd minutes or whatever I played against them, and then you know remaining in camp and working with the physios and the S&C staff, keeping you sharp. You know, often being injured is you're a lot busier than you would be when you're fit. You know, you're always you're in with the physios and S&C, making sure you're staying fit and as sharp as you possibly can. So, you know, they've done a great job with me. You know, getting me back to full fitness, and you know, I feel I'm ready for a test match, which is quite important. So, yeah, no, they've done a great job, and I feel confident for the weekend.
Yeah.
We'll take the last one there, Murray. Thanks.
Yeah, Andy said you're a big game player. How much do you think these big occasions bring out the best in you?
Yeah, look, you know, it's worked out in the past before. I think it's probably in your preparation, those big games. You know what's on the line. You know if you're not ready for it or you're not up to scratch, then you can be found out even more so in the big games. So it's what you enjoy them too. They're a test against you know, whether it be your opposite number or a really good strong side like England are at the moment. You want to put your best foot forward and show people what you can do. So these are the games like I've mentioned before, you don't need any extra motivation to get up for. They're huge games. England at home, and like I said, I'm looking forward to it massively.
Thanks, guys. All the best.
Cheers, Murray.